here to speak specifically and really only to my Black woman entrepreneurs, founders. If you're not in that category, if you're not a Black woman, a brown woman who is leading an entrepreneurial organization or who is a founder, if you're not a solo entrepreneur who's a Black woman, who is a Latina woman, who's a brown woman, if you don't identify with any of that, this video is not for you, so you can move on. My Black and brown woman leaders, founders, I really need you to hear this. Stop resisting the game. Instead of resisting the game, understand the rules of the game and turn that beast on its head. Okay? Those people who keep calling you for diversity panels, let's make them pay for having you and your amazing point of view. Your perspective is one of one. That is what being the only is also about. Let's be strategic about using that perspective as the thing that sets you apart in your thought leadership.
To speak like a boss, let's get into your most powerful story. Because your story matters.
I'm here to speak specifically and really only to my Black woman entrepreneurs, founders. If you're not in that category, if you're not a Black woman, a brown woman who is leading an entrepreneurial organization or who is a founder, if you're not a solo entrepreneur who's a Black woman, who is a Latina woman, who's a brown woman, if you don't identify with any of that, this video is not for you, so you can move on. My Black and brown woman leaders, founders, I really need you to hear this. Stop resisting the game. Instead of resisting the game, understand the rules of the game and turn that beast on its head, okay? Make the game work for you. What do I mean by this? I'm talking about something that I have lived through myself. I remember the very first time, probably in my entire life, that I had experienced the level of sexism mixed with racism that I've ever experienced in my life. And I'm somebody who grew up in apartheid South Africa, okay? That's the background that I come from. The first time I experienced that was running around in New York City in VC circles. I was leading a company that I had started at the time with my boyfriend, he's now my husband. And the company that we founded was specifically helping African entrepreneurs on the continent to think about and to raise funds for the missing middle. I'm not going to go into all of the details, what that value proposition was, but here we were sitting across, I still remember the hotel. It was in Soho, it was at this really fancy place. We booked specifically for this meeting so we could have privacy, so we could speak to this person and also position ourselves in a very specific way, right? This is somebody who's a very big deal. He had flown in just that particular day. He was moving on to DC, and we got on his calendar, on his radar. We wanted to talk to him about the entrepreneurs that we were working with because we understood he could be a game changer capital-wise for these folks. We get into the meeting, everything is going swimmingly. We're really excited, number one, to be here, to be in a fundraising conversation. And this mother, I don't think I need to tell you very much about what his demographic looked like. Suffice to say, he did not look like me, he did not look like you, he did not have my sex, he did not have your sex. And this man, the entire conversation, would not look at me, would not talk to me. He never said my name, Mahohodi, which like already that is a signifier when people are unwilling to say anything close to acknowledging my humanity. He barely shook my hand at the end, and I swear, like, I remember the feeling of walking away from that meeting, standing in New York, the sun was out, it was summer, and I felt dirty, like something was wrong with me, right? And what I wish I had known in that moment, this is what I mean by learning the game, and don't get mad at the game, just learn how to play the game. I really wish that baby Mafafodi, who was running around as a baby entrepreneur at the time, had understood that this is what the game is. They did not set up the game of entrepreneurship for us. So we need to play in a game that wasn't set up for us and flip it on its head so that it actually serves us. And one of the ways that I know that this is true at this ripe old age of 42 is we do not need to be playing the diversity card, right? And it's not even the diversity card, it's the whole thing of like the diversity trap that we often fall into, which is becoming the one that they want to call onto all of the panels that are like, Mahokori, tell us about how amazing it is to be an entrepreneur at NYU, speak on this panel and let everybody know about what your challenges have been as a young Black woman, entrepreneur, etc., etc. And I would not have brought the story that I just shared with you because it was happening in real time and it would have been too frustrating. But I also, quite frankly, would have been frustrated with the ask of that panel itself, because instead of talking about the amazing work that we were doing with these entrepreneurs on the continent and the innovations that they were leading, I mean, I'm talking about people who were using mobile phones back then in the early 2010s in ways that we're just catching up to right now, right, in the United States. And it would frustrate me so much to have to talk about like being tokenized essentially, and what does it mean for me to be on this panel, blah, 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 mostly people who don't necessarily look like me in the audience, again, wanting to tick something off as opposed to having a substantive conversation about the depth of my expertise at the time and the work that I was doing. What I wish I had known is how to flip that opportunity into an opportunity, how to flip that moment into an opportunity, how to turn it on its head and make it into an opportunity. Another thing that happened during this particular period that was such a source of frustration, and honestly, it was, I think, a text that a lot of people like you are really familiar with: the cost of being the only or the cost of being the first. Maybe you're the first in your family to choose entrepreneurship. Maybe you're the only one in the room who looks a particular way, right? And so you're representing the loneliness that comes with that and the fatigue of constantly code switching between audiences, but also code switching sometimes within your safest circles, because not everybody understands that decision of wanting to take on this risk of becoming an entrepreneur. And at the time, social entrepreneurship, when I first walked into that path around 2008-9, it was like, what are you talking about? You're smoking weed. Why don't you just welcome to Wall Street and get a guaranteed six-figure income, right? And within my own family, having to educate people about why this path was the right path for me, within my own family, having to both receive support, but then also feeling like, man, I wish I could share some of the loneliness of that particular meeting, for example, and how that interaction, what it made me feel at the end. How, like I said, I feel like I needed a shower after that because I felt so dirty from how that person made me feel. What would flipping the scripts look like? What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, if I had had at that stage the foresight and the understanding that I do now, that all of those are opportunities specifically for thought leadership, it would have been a game changer. It would have been an opportunity for thought leadership by understanding, yes, the statistics, which you already know, it's 2-3 times the cycle for raising funds as somebody who looks like us. It takes you 2-3 times longer track, right? Like, it takes you that much longer to raise funds than it does for someone who is your counterpart. Had I understood what thought leadership would help me do, that it could shrink that cycle, number one, by allowing my credibility to shine through more than my diversity and the thing that makes me different, honestly, I would have burrowed down and been really serious about writing a book a heck of a lot sooner, and a strategic book that maybe spoke specifically to the things that I was doing and specifically to my expertise. I also would have turned all of these requests for diversity tokenism on panels, at conferences, etc., I would have used those as opportunities for personal paydays. And this is exactly the kind of thing that I would encourage you to and work with you on as a client. How can we change these opportunities, right? They want to hear from you so much because you are the only, because you are the first. Great, let's create speaking opportunities around that and be really clear on what your speaking fees are and packages that make it very simple for us to not waste your time. Also, when you get in front of those audiences and you are sharing the things that you are going through, the more you can be vulnerable, the more, and strategically vulnerable, right? In a way that helps them understand, look, I really get it. I understand what the cost is at a personal level. I also understand how to speak the language that gets me what I need at this particular moment to serve the things that matter the most to me. When you're able to communicate that in an effective way that speaks not like AI, get outside of the expert speak and get back into just meeting humans where they are, I'm telling you that is a game changer, and it is going to change not just your loneliness in being the only, because other people will recognize themselves in you, raise their hand, and want to work with you and want to work closer together with you, right? Not only is it going to do that for you, but it is going to amplify your thought leadership. Why? Because when you connect with people authentically, you're more likely to be quoted by the media. You're more likely for your thought leadership to actually become that, and not just another post that goes up on LinkedIn and nobody really cares. So what I want you to think about in all of the frustrations that you may be feeling as the first, as the only, in these positions of leadership, and as you charge ahead with this brilliance that you have in your company, is how on earth, how can you flip the script and don't be mad? Instead of being mad, like, how can you flip the script to turn this into opportunities? I run a one-on-one coaching program that I would love to help work with you so that we can strategically flip every single one of those things that feel like frustrations and problems right now. Let's flip them on their head. Let's make those people who keep calling you for diversity panels, let's make them pay for having you and your amazing point of view. Your perspective is one of one. That is what being the only is also about. Let's be strategic about using that perspective as the thing that sets you apart in your thought leadership. If any of this is something that resonates, if you understand how this is something you could leverage for not just your particular company, your specific work, but actually to change the plane and the game for not just you, but those who are coming before, after you, which is in fact changing culture, I really would love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments, what does it feel like to be in a meeting where you are the only? Let me know in comments what your thoughts are. Again, I'm signing off. My name is Maho Khodi. I'm also the host of Madam Speaker Says. It's a podcast. Get it wherever you love to listen to your favorite podcasts. We unpack thought leadership specific to us, Black, brown, woman, and what does it mean to become a thought leader? What are the examples? We speak to some of the best in the game right now who are thought leaders. How have they gotten there? How have they learned the game? And what are they doing to change the game on their own terms? Thank you so much for joining me.
Was that useful? You want to go even deeper? I'd love to support you. My coaching program can help you make money and spark action whenever you speak with intention. Book time to chat using the link in the description box below. Also, leave a comment if this video offered something you needed to hear today, or if you have a question you want me to unpack in next week's episode. Fresh episodes drop every Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Hit subscribe to get a notification so you never miss a beat. Thank you so much for being here. I want you to know that your story matters. and I'm here to help you stand out from the stage to the page.